Hello everybody, and welcome back to Animal Crossing New Leaf. Welcome, Amiibo! Man, today feels a bit different. Feels like there's a weight off my head. Usually you'd say off your shoulders, but like it was like on my head and like on like the collar of my shirt. Webcam's not quite in position. I don't know why that would be. It's weird, man. Very weird. Today, I do apologize if I am a little distracted. I'm keeping an eye on file transfers because... Picking it up. New phone. So, I want to make sure things are working. I don't trust technology. I don't feel like I can be blamed for not trusting technology. I don't really know what to talk about today. I could talk about a thing that I feel bad arguing with people, given real time. It is December 25th. This is still too high. Autofocus is on. Okay. I feel bad arguing with people on Christmas Day. But, like, it's more these people came to argue with me, so, you know, I don't feel like I said anything particularly controversial. It's basically one of the World of Warships content creators I follow made a video basically posing the question, has wargaming gotten lazy? Personally, I don't think so, especially with all of the weirdly complicated things they're doing recently and working on currently. There is a lot of complicated stuff they are doing. And basically, the whole crutch of the argument is the recent dockyard ships and this upcoming one are all pretty samey to things we have in the tech tree. Like the current one of Njord, or Njord, something Swedish, is basically a Prinz Ruprecht with different guns, different torpedoes, different armor, but is still a Prinz Ruprecht visually. If you ignore the turrets are different, the bow is a bit different. I mean, it has a special camo. Like, visually, it is actually quite different. But people are like, oh, it's the same thing. And then the previous one of, I think it was Almirante Oquendo, something like that. Some Spanish ship. I don't think there's a cruiser in-game that is an exact duplicate of this ship. Yet, because its playstyle is like the other Spanish cruisers, except it doesn't have a burst fire, it has a dispersion funny button, making it arguably worse than the others. That makes it the same as the Spanish cruisers, even though it is different and kind of worse. Then before that, it was Wisconsin, which is a ship that existed, so you would sure hope that it would look like an Iowa, given it was an Iowa-class battleship. Like, imagine if they hadn't made Wisconsin look like Wisconsin. There was already, and still is, because this person has not given up on having these changes made, a long, detailed post on the World of Warships Discord from somebody pointing out all of the visual inaccuracies of Wisconsin. I am not joking. Like, that is the level warship players will go to ensure that historical ships look like historical ships. There's a running a thread that comes up every now and again, petitioning for a lot of the older World War I ships. They have a rare Captain's Space Seat. I could buy that for the moon. Like, petitioning for these old kind of World War I interwar dreadnoughts to actually get their historical designs instead of Wargaming's refit. Even though they did at one point have their original designs in-game, these original designs were generally the A hull of the ship, and these ships had an A, B, and a C hull, and they basically removed the A hull from a lot of ships because it was just too much to grind. And then they just never added them back in any other capacity. Some ships they did, some ships they didn't. Like, Nagato had her A hull put back in as Mutsu, her sister ship. Amagi had her A hull put back in as Ashitaka. So, you know, sometimes they do it. Now, can we get a 37? Just like right away. 37. Nah, this is 40 something. 42. It's like meaning to life or something. Man, that... Has this snowman given me a single number? Like, I don't think he has. But basically, I just made a comment pointing out a bunch of ships that one could argue, under the same logic being used for, you know, Almirante, being just a clone of the Spanish cruisers, you could argue that almost every ship in the game is a clone of another ship. Like, what's Des Moines but a Baltimore with a much faster reload? Because they were, you know, they were designs meant to follow each other. Like, they are more similar. 47, that's almost the 37 I need. They're gonna leave me on this ding forever, aren't they? But, like, it's just silly to me that people are this up in arms around it. Like... Oh, I didn't notice the other flower. Well... We get 3 bags of money today. I blame Lobo. It's always Lobo. Don't believe him. He is always the one causing trouble in town. I firmly believe this. So yes, Frisk, I am recording. Why are you getting into things back there? She says there's a bunch of new stuff, there's a bunch of treats for her, and she wants them all right now, even though she doesn't like one of them, it seems. She hasn't tried it. She's sniffed it. She's interested in it. She was very interested in the bag of them being opened, but she hasn't tried it yet, and I think it's just because of the way it is. It's a cat lollipop? I don't understand. And I don't think Frisk does either. And that's the problem. When the thing it's intended for does not understand, there's a problem. But, yeah, like, I basically just left a comment pointing out a bunch of ships that are fundamentally the same ship. And you could argue very compellingly that it was Wargaming being lazy when making these tech trees. Like, probably the easiest example of laziness is Nuremberg and Königsberg in the German cruiser tech tree. They have the exact same range, on the exact same guns, with the exact same torpedoes, with the exact same turret angles, with the exact same turret rotation, like, they are identical ships. One's tier 5, one's tier 6. I couldn't tell you which one. I don't keep track of this. I've been looking for one for so long. Well, I can give you a sapphire. Yeah, you could. I would sell it to you for 2 bells. Take it. It's yours. You deserve it. Aww. I love Tia. Like, man, she's so sweet. Okay, let's get this shrunk down a bit. Hello, Frisk. I see you down there. No, you do not need on the table. You do not need on the table. Too many things on the table, and you are not supposed to be on tables anyway. Bam! Bravo! Wonderful! Such amazing craftsmanship. Yeah, you're gonna immediately give me the number I need, aren't you? I can feel it. Also, new mug. Santa mug. Okay, he is not. 41. Okay. But like, yeah, I basically made that kind of comment, and there was literally 2 people trying to argue that no, I'm missing the point. It's like, am I though? And like, one that really got me was someone trying to argue that like, oh, you know, it's one thing for tech tree ships to be the same, but premiums should always be different. It's like, time out. The first premium ship ever released into the game, once it was actually released into a state where people could play it without, getting invites, was the Tier 8 cruiser Atago. A Miyoko class cruiser. Miyoko is in-game. She is literally Miyoko, a tier higher, with a longer reload, and a heal. Playstyle is exactly the same as the other Japanese cruisers. You play her exactly the same as you would play a Miyoko. Only you're playing her a tier higher, where otherwise you would have a Mogami, which personally I feel is the better ship. But that mostly just comes down to Mogami has 2 gun choices, one of which is 15 155s, Atago has 10 203s. You might think that the 10 203s would be, roughly equipped. No, they're not. The 15 155s are better. They are better by a considerable amount because they reload a lot faster, and there is a lot more of them. Mogami's just the better ship. Mogami's actually one of my favorite ships in the game. Because, like, she's so just unique. At least amongst Japanese cruisers. Like, you don't really see a Japanese cruiser with that many guns. And then they added the Japanese light cruiser line, which is just dumb. Jabs a wolf, hold today. It's a good shot system now and again. What's up? Let's talk. Have you heard of feng shui before? It's say your luck with money will go up if you put yellow things on the west wall of your home. South for green and east for red. I don't believe in any of that. I also wouldn't be able to do much of that because, like, colors. I've literally had moments where, like, I've been watching someone else play, like, World of Warships, which I always play with a colorblind filter on after realizing they had one. And I'll be watching, and the person will be like, man, there's some torpedoes there. And I'm like, where? I don't see them. It's great. It's really giving me the impression that when I initially started playing World of Warships, I wasn't exactly the worst at the game. I just had a massive handicap working against me. But, yeah, like, this person's argument boiled down to, like, well, it's, these ships are, like, $70. It's like, but they're not. A dockyard ship, on average, is about 3,000 doubloons to buy into the starter pack or finish it. This current one running is, I think, 3,000 or 3,500 doubloons. Sounds like a lot. That's less than $15 Canadian. That's not bad for a microtransaction in a free-to-play MMO. You're usually looking at, you know, $15, $20, $30 for a skin in a lot of MMOs. This is a ship that will probably play differently from other ships that you've got. Like, I don't understand people being like, well, Njord's just a Ruprecht. It's like, but it's not. Njord not only having different guns with a much faster reload, is not a secondary ship. Prince Ruprecht is. That meaning that, Prince Ruprecht... Okay, she wants to exchange for something? Sure, let's do it. Sounds great. But, like, Prince Ruprecht is very focused on her secondary armament. While Njord is very focused on her torpedoes. Njord's torpedoes are also vastly better than Ruprecht's. Like, Njord also has arguably better main guns, because they reload considerably faster, and they aren't that much smaller, but they are smaller, and they are smaller in a way that matters. Because I know I've complained about overmatch before. Njord has 380mm guns, Prince Ruprecht has 406s. 406 divided by 14.3 puts it to, I think, 28 something. Basically meaning a 406 will overmatch 27mm of armor, meaning a 406 will punch straight through most cruisers' bow, stern, easily. 380 is, I think, 25, I want to say. Meaning, it'll still punch through a lot of cruisers, but not every cruiser. Like, that's, you know, that is a pretty substantial difference. But now, doesn't matter. People want to say it's the same, so it's the same, I guess. Like, I don't even know why I replied to these people. I think it's just because there were other people, like, thumbs-upping their comments. It could have just been them thumbs-upping each other, to be honest. I don't know. But, like... It's one of those things where... This is gonna sound so dumb, but I almost feel responsible for trying to help the World of Warships community get better at the game. Because, like... I know a lot about that game. I know a lot of things that could help people get better at the game. But, like... Yeah, I want to do some ocean fishing instead of river. But, like, it's really difficult when I'm, you know, some small, basically nobody, trying to compete with these other CCs who are a lot bigger than I am, and thus people are going to assume they know better. Even though a lot of the times, and this is something I've kind of noticed, I'll leave a comment talking about some in-depth mechanic on just say, like, I've done this on, like, a potato quality video. And then for, like, the next, you know, few weeks to a month, every opportunity, he's talking about that mechanic, bringing up the same points I just brought up. Like, I almost feel like I'm teaching these big CCs things, or pointing out to them things that they may not even be considering that people may want to know about. Like, it's one of those things, I don't really want to toot my own horn like that, but, like, it's happened a few too many times to just be coincidence. And, like, I've seen it on multiple CCs, like, where I will mention something in their comments, and then they'll be mentioning it for the next few weeks to a month if they don't do their own dedicated video on whatever I just was talking about in their comments. Like, it's one of those things where I definitely know quite a lot about that game. I have spent way too many hours playing that game and trying to get better at it. Like, it's one of those things of, like, Warships in that way is kind of scratching the same itch that, like, StarCraft 2 used to do for me. Except I can still play World of Warships without experiencing pain. I really can't play StarCraft 2 to the level I used to play it anymore without experiencing pain. It's not a good time. You know, as much as I would love to do it, like, I still love StarCraft. If they ever make another StarCraft game, you can bet I'm buying it. Like, depending on how it comes out, I might wait a bit. I don't think I'll be as day one excited as I was for StarCraft 2. To the point where I literally, like, day it released, like, I went to Walmart and picked up a copy, like, physical disc copy of StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty. I then, the day Heart of the Swarm released, got to Walmart and picked myself up a physical copy of StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm. When Legacy of the Void came out, same thing again. Like, I was right there for StarCraft 2. That was a lot of years and a lot of not taking care of my wrists while playing real-time strategy games at a high level. You know. Kind of did a number on my wrists. To the point where if I do play a real-time strategy game at a high level for half an hour to an hour, I start to experience pretty extreme, excruciating pain going up the center of my lower arm. I don't know exactly what that is, but it can't be good. So I tend to just avoid it. I feel like that's the reasonable thing to do. Right now, I can imagine there's one or two of you probably thinking, go to the doctors. Like, I don't want to wait for, like, you know, 6 to 8 hours to have a doctor go. It could just be you're getting older. Like, this is the Canadian healthcare system. The town I live in, I think, has 2 doctors. It is not a small town. A lot of nurses, a lot of nurse practitioners, but I don't even think this hospital has the kind of equipment that would be required to, like, check for, like, carpal tunnel or stuff. So, I just avoid things that make my body hurt. I feel like that's the reasonable solution. Sea bass. I think I have room for one more fish. Yeah, one more fish. There we go. No, phone, you stay where I can see you. Ooh, that's not what I wanted to do. I am still very much getting used to this new phone. 222 of, like, 500 pictures from my camera roll transferred. This has been going for, like, 40-ish minutes or more. after I figured out how to even do that. I'm not tech savvy when it comes to phones. As far as I can figure, though, the time to do like a phone transfer was during setup, which is something that my older sister did on this phone like a long while ago, and I can't really like do it again. So yeah. Can't really do the transfer the way it was intended to be done. But that's fine. The only things I can't easily re-download are the like my pictures, basically. So, you know, I'm fine with that. Like, I can transfer those. There is like one app I think I'm gonna have trouble finding and setting up again, but that's really about it. And even it isn't really all that vital, so I don't think I'm gonna bother. But yeah, I do want to get this episode ended here, because in real life, in real time, there is things that I want to be doing today that require me to also be doing things via OBS that I cannot do while I am recording this. Well, I could do it, but I can't exactly easily set it all up while I'm doing. I need to do the stream that was yesterday for you guys, today for me. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this one. I thank you all very much for watching, and hopefully I see you all back here tomorrow for more Animal Crossing New Leaf Welcome Amiibo. See you all then! And now in this end card, I'd like to ask if you liked the video, hey, could you hit the like button? And if you're not subscribed, could you maybe subscribe? That'd help me out a lot. Thanks a bunch.